Hey there, I'm Jess with So Many Creations. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're going to talk about something super important, near and dear to my heart, scraps. That's right. I have so many leftover pieces of cork, little bits of zipper. When I finish a project, I don't know what to do with all of them. They seem too big to just toss in the trash, but they're so small. What am I going to make with them? Well, I have a fun project for you today. In today's video, we're going to make this two-piece key fob set. Super simple, totally scrap buster friendly. It uses some of your basic supplies and really just one piece of hardware. If you don't have the key fob hardware, you can skip it and just go on to the little zippered pouch. It's so tiny, but it's big enough to hold a credit card, a little bit of cash, your chapstick, whatever you need close by. So whether you're taking a run or running errands and you just need your basics, this is the set for you. I'm going to go over from start to finish everything you're going to need to cut, all your basic supplies, and I'm going to do this all on my domestic, my Janome Skyline S9. And I'm using 1 foot for the entire video. So let's get into it. So let's go over all of the supplies we're going to need for today. Again, this is really going to be cork scrap friendly. You're going to want something non-fraying. This is not going to be a cotton or anything that frays kind of a project. The little zippered pouch is not finished and we do have some raw edges, so you're just going to want something that's not going to fray and something that your machine is happy to sew on. I am using cork with my Janome S9 and it has no issues sewing through up to 6 layers, which is what I have here. So if you're going to do the key fob right here, this long strap right there, you're going to want a piece of cork that measures 3 3/4 by 12 inches long. My key fob hardware is 1 1/4 inches, so I multiplied that by 3 to get this size. So because it's 1 1/4 inches, this is 3 3/4, and the 12 is a nice size. I find that I can put that right on my hand very easily, but it's not too large. If you want to skip that, you won't need these pieces. You also won't need any glue. I do use the glue for the key fob part. I'm just going to move that aside. As for the little zippered pouch right here, you're going to get 2 pieces of cork that measure 3.5 wide by 4.5 high. You're also going to want a little scrap here for your tab. That's 1/2 inch by 3 inches. The zipper I'm using is approximately 4 to 4.5 inches long. What I would also recommend before you get started is go ahead and sew over your ends. I increased my stitch length as long as it would go, and I just went back and forth over each end. That's going to make sure that we don't have any issues when we're installing the zipper and using the zipper. I'm also going to use 1/8 inch double stick tape. That's going to hold my zipper in place. Of course, I have my rotary cutter, my mat and ruler. That's how I did all of my trimming, and that's how I'm going to do our first step. I have some scissors and I have a marking tool. The marking tool is going to depend on what color you have on the back. For the yellow cork right here, I'm going to use the friction pen. For the navy that I had already done, I used my chalk pencil because the backing was a dark color. Of course, I always have my bag clips around, and if I'm feeling up to it and I want to be a little fancy, I can embroider. I did some embroidery on this piece of cork to make another set for myself. I thought it was just a pretty little design. This is a built-in design from Janome in the Skyline S9, and this is at the full size. Our first step is going to be to draw out the zipper box and to place the zipper with our tape. Once that is complete, we're going to head to the machine for the rest of the project. On the next screen, you're going to see all of your sizes and all of your pieces laid out for you. That way you can take a screenshot or you can pause it and write everything down. Other than that, we're going to do the rest of the video right at the machine. So if you like videos like this, don't forget to click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give it a thumbs up. I grabbed my ruler, my mat, my rotary cutter, and scissors. We're going to need those for the prep work on the zipper. And I'm going to start here with the key fob and show you how I like to mark and make a triple fold strap. So this is something I do in a lot of bags, but I also like to do it for the keychain because I just find that it makes it really sturdy. So what I'm going to do is on the back here with my pen, I'm going to mark 1/3 of the width, which is essentially the same size as my finished piece, which is 1 1/4 inches. So I'm just going to measure, turn my ruler here, measure 1 1/4 inches, and I'm just going to draw one line. That's all I have to do for this piece, and that's going to help me to fold it and keep it nice and even. So for folding my handle, instead of just doing a double fold and folding it in half, this is going to hide the raw edge, but it's also going to be really sturdy. I like to use my 1/8 inch double stick tape, and I'm just going to add a little bit, not right up along the edge, but close. And I'm going to add this to both of the long edges. Now, as I mentioned, I cut my little strap, my little handle, at 12 inches. You can make yours shorter or longer, whatever you would prefer. I find that this is a good length for me. All right, so once I have my tape on there, I'm just going to peel off from the opposite side of the pen mark. So I'm peeling the paper, maybe, there we go, on the side that's further away from my pen mark. And I'm just gonna fold this in right up to that pen line. Now you can easily do this with clips. If you don't have tape, it's totally fine, but I figured I already had my tape out for the zipper, so I might as well just use it. This is 1/8 inch tape that I purchase online from Wawick.com. I do like their tape, and even if I have to sew through it, it's not too bad on my machine. On the opposite side here, I'm gonna peel off my paper, and I'm going to fold this over so it's not overlapping the edge, but it's really, really close to it. And I'll show you what I mean, because I still want that raw edge to be in the back, which is going to be the inside. So my raw edge is kind of right here. So there it is on this piece. You can see my raw edge is not all the way to the fold. And if you have any of these little frays from the backing, you can always just take your lighter and just kind of run that along that edge, and that will get rid of those. Okay, so this is all set to take to the machine and stitch. I'm gonna set that aside for now. On the back of one of my pieces, I'm going to draw the lines and cut the opening for my zipper. So my piece, again, is taller than it is wide. It's 3.5 by 4.5. So what I'm gonna do is from each of these longer edges, I'm going to draw a line 1.5 inches in. And I'm just gonna draw that. It doesn't have to be perfect, and this is a heat erasable pen, so I can always take it off. Going 1.5 inches from the opposite side. And now on the short ends, I'm just going to draw and close in this box 1/2 inch from each end. All right, so it is 1.5 inches over, 1/2 inch in. Now I'm going to cut that out, and I do like to use my rotary cutter for the majority of it. It keeps it nice and smooth and clean. I'm not going all the way to the corners. I'll finish those up with scissors. All right, there it is. I could even take this little piece right here and make that into my tab if I didn't have an extra one already cut. So I'm going to take my tape now, and I'm gonna place it right along here, not quite up against the edge, but close. The double stick tape makes a huge difference. It's helping us to avoid pins, and it's going to hold the zipper down really nicely while we sew. So, all right, paper is off. I'm gonna grab my zipper here, and I'm just gonna put my pull right in the middle and place my cork on top. Get that nice and even, and if I don't like how it looks, I can peel it off and readjust. All right, so we are ready to go. You'll notice that my zipper is quite long. It's coming just to the edges. That is fine. We can always trim it up afterwards, but I just would rather have it a little on the longer side than short. Anywhere from 4 to 4.5 inches is going to be fine for that zipper. So I'm using my Janome Skyline S9. This is my domestic. I have my HP foot on. That is the foot that I'm going to use for this entire project. I'm going to be bouncing back and forth between stitch number 1, which is the center, and stitch number 4, which is the left-hand position. That is where I'm at right now, and that's going to give me 1/4 inch from this edge right here. My stitch length is increased to 3.6. My stitch width is actually at 0.5. That's what the number 4 stitch is doing for me. So I'm going to top stitch this little handle right here for my key fob. I'm going to do 1/4 and 1/8 from both edges. Oops. So my handle is all set for right now. I'm gonna set this aside and we will do the hardware at the end, but I've done my top stitching 1/8 and 1/4 from each side. Now it's time to stitch the zipper. I stitch 1/8 inch around my zipper. I'm gonna trim my zipper just a little bit so it's not hanging off the edge here. So I did not cut any of the sewing that I had done earlier. What I just did was trim this up a little bit so that it won't be hanging off the edge here. I just don't want that to be peeking out when I'm all done. So now I'm going to take my little tab, this piece right here, fold it in half, wrong sides together. And I'm going to use a clip and I'm just going to clip it at the top part of my zipper where my zipper is going to close. So the more rounded side. So it's just folded in half. I'm just going to place that there, do a couple of stitches just to hold it in place using my 1/8 inch. Now that that is in place, I'm going to take part number 2. This is going to be for the back and I'm going to place it right sides together just like this and add some clips. Now that I have my clips, I'm going to sew all the way around using 1/4 inch seam allowance. My zipper is open at least part way because I'm going to need to open it and turn my piece through the zipper. If you want to, you can also stitch 1/8 inch all the way around. That will make it extra secure and it will also help from having those pulled stitches on the side. If you ever get that where you're seeing your thread, just do a double stitch, do 1/8 and 1/4. I'm just gonna do 1/4 for this one. My stitch width is at 0.5, it's on stitch number 4 again, and my stitch length is at 2.6. I do like to add a little extra back stitch in the corner because I am going to trim those and I like to make them nice and tight, and I'm going to stitch over the zipper ends a couple times as well. All right, I'm just about done. So I'm just going to clean up my little threads and I'm going to clip a little kind of a triangle out of each of the corners. I'm not cutting through my thread, but if I cut that little bit of cork, it will make my corners a little bit neater. I also like to use my lighter again on the end of my zipper just to kind of melt those edges and clean that up, just like so. Now it's time to turn. There it is. I poked my corners out using my turning tool just very gently. I have my nice little zippered pouch right here. And now it's time to head back over at our hardware and finish it up. So I have my little zippered pouch done. I have my handle done for my key fob. I grabbed my glue and my scissors. I just want to clean up these ends just a little bit. I've got some threads. At the machine, you can take your handle and sew across here if it makes it a little bit easier for you. I'm not going to do that for today. I'm going to grab my key fob and my glue, and adding these on is actually pretty simple. You don't need any special tools, but I have one and I'm going to use it. So if you don't have a rivet press, what you can do is just grab any pair of pliers. You'll want to wrap something around your key fob so you don't scratch it, and then you can very easily just clamp down and close your key fob. But what I'm going to do, I just kind of slid that in there, is I'm going to use my rivet setter. This is my cam snap, and it has these little pressing plates that are specifically made for this. So since I have it, I'm going to use it, but I don't need it. It's totally fine just to use pliers. Just give that a good press. I've got that part done, and now I'm just going to take my little zippered pouch here and I'm going to add it right on to the keychain. If you want, you can also add a little swivel hook or something like that. You could even put the key fob hardware on that if you would like and skip the tab altogether. Well, there it is, our quick and easy project. I hope you enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun making these and I actually want to make a bunch more. I think they would make really great gifts because when isn't there a celebration, a holiday, something around the corners, teachers' gifts, there's always a time to make presents for others and for ourselves because I think I'm going to keep this one. I love the little touch of embroidery, totally optional, but a really fun and easy way to get into embroidering on cork and to play with your embroidery machine. If you watched my notebook tutorial, I was also playing with different threads and stitches, not using my embroidery part, but just using the built-in stitches in my machine. This would be a great place to play with those as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit subscribe, click the little notification bell, and give it a thumbs up. Thank you for watching.